Basically, first of all, there are no injections. You would come in and talk, and that's the first thing. Um,
So no physical pain.
no physical pain, number one. Number two, you don't necessarily have to seek out a psychiatrist first if you feel like things aren't going right or you're not feeling yourself. We have many wonderful counselors on island. We have even certain facilities where counseling is often free. There's a government center in town where you can call and they have counselors for adults, children, and so on. The counselor would talk to you to get an idea of who you are as a person, what are the things that you normally do, and try to get a picture of what has been different in your life and how this is affecting you.
What about some ice cream? Would ice cream help?
Oh my god.
Like, I'm serious. I'm dead serious. Because me and desserts cheer me up.
Right.
So I'm wondering.
Well, sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
I love my cake. I
that
love my
sound
cake.
a little
Okay.
funny, but he's right in a point that finding things that cheer you up. Those are called coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
Some of us, we get up and we go and work out, or you go and listen to music, or you put on your headphones, you put on your iPod, whatever, listen to songs, eat something that you like, call a friend that you can talk to and process things. And we find that many times we feel better when we do this.
True.
So you guys are able to meet people then?
Well, we try our best. Reading people is a very difficult thing.
Especially if they're not completely open. Right?
Exactly. So we first try to establish a rapport. You first try to get the person to feel comfortable. You try to get to know them a little bit.
Establish a relationship.
Establish an initial relationship. And then try to ascertain the level of the problem, how serious it is. Is it a problem that a counselor can handle? Is it a problem that just needs to be talked through and the person needs to feel that somebody's listening to them and hearing them? Or is this a more serious problem that they may have to come to the hospital and see a psychiatrist, where we may have to do a little bit more in terms of the talking and maybe add medications, and sometimes even the person may have to go into the hospital.
So what about young people that are in school that they need to perform really well, get good grades, and if they're in extracurricular activities like soccer or
YouthFlex, yeah.
YouthFlex. How can those kind of jeopardize emotional wellness?
How can we?
Jeopardize emotional wellness, having the pressure of
Too
trying
many
to fulfill.
activities.
Yeah, and an interesting point is that a lot of mental and emotional disorders are actually very prevalent among the youth. The age groups of 18 to 35 is actually the highest age group, and younger, of a lot of emotional problems. In our teen years, those are challenging times because you are still quote unquote a child where you have to depend on family and parents, but at the same time you're kind of an adult in terms of making your own decisions at school, the pressures that you come under with friendships and relationships and so on. The demands and the expectations that are placed make it a very trying time, and I think we all know and have known of friends during our times in high school and so on that are struggling a lot with emotional things and acting out in different ways, hurting themselves and doing things like that. So we recognize that it is a time of challenge and stress, and we don't minimize that. That's something that is very important to get across. That many times we feel that because we're just in school and so on, if we go to an adult and talk to them about the stressors you're going through, the adult may look at you and say, well, you don't even know what stress.
I know, right? They do that all the time. And when we come back from our break, I would like you to go on with that.
Sure.
So our break will be by Ashley Hernandez, and she'll be singing her own song, right? No, not her own song, a cover, I'm sorry.
From Clifton Hunter, because you
Yes,
just sound like
Clifton
the best
Hunter, our
talent
talented
on
as
island,
well.
just saying.
Add that to the list.
Look around, it's dead tonight. You've been losing every fight. clouds are gone, not a shadow in sight. You'll be drenched in the sun with open eyes. Whoa, oh, 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 oh. Hey, hey. At the beach, the waves will crash, tuck and grab you, pull you back. The sun may be covered in gray. The sand ledge itself may burn. Hurricane will take its turn until the dawn. Just close your eyes and push right through. I know it's tough right now. This was meant for you. When the clouds are gone, not a storm in sight. You'll be drenched in the sun with open eyes. Oh, 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 oh. Hey, hey, hey. So close your eyes, shut them tight, let it be, and it will fade away. Push on through, strengthen you, let it be, and wish it all away. Always. Open eyes, open wide, it's all good now, watch it fade away. Day by day, just close your eyes and push right through. I know it's tough right now, this was meant for you. When the clouds are gone, not a storm in sight. You'll be drenched in the sun with open eyes. Oh, close your eyes, close your eyes. Just close your eyes and push right through. I know it's tough right now, this was meant for you. When the clouds are gone, not a storm in sight. You'll be drenched in the sun with open eyes.
That gave me goosebumps, girl. No lie. It was really good.
Thank you, Ashley. You did real well.
Yeah, so we're back. Yes, on
We're
the
back with
flex.
Dr. Lockhart. And before we went to our break, we were talking about the youth, right? The youth and how it affected them while they were in school and all that stuff. Could you please elaborate on that?
Right, we were talking mainly about the stressors that the youth face and recognizing that it is real. And when we say real, meaning that we shouldn't trivialize. If even an 8 or 9-year-old, I've seen go through serious stress reactions, have serious anxiety that need to be treated with medications and so on.
So how do you know if you like have serious anxiety?
Anxiety, yeah.
Well, it would affect your general function.
Like sleeping?
Like sleeping, like eating, like being able to interact with others, like being able to go to class and sit in class and prepare for an exam. You might start to feel like unusually nervous, so nervous that you can't even concentrate on the things you've studied. You can have physical symptoms along with like nausea, sweating, dizziness.
So how do you treat those things? Like using medication?
Well, sometimes we have to use medication. So the symptoms are exactly that serious, that impact again the person's functioning to that level. Sometimes we have to use meds that bring down those symptoms and make it easier for the person to be able to function and to go out. But medications are one aspect. Also, we use a lot of different types of counseling and therapy interventions that are designed specifically for certain types of problems.
So you use like group counseling or just one-on-one contact?
Does group counseling work, by the way?
Well, group counseling works very well. Unfortunately, we don't have a whole lot of group options here on the island. We're starting to develop that more. A lot of group counseling is used like in things like AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and
We
things
have
like
that in K9?
We sure do. Many different groups going.
But Cameron's so small, how can you
Yeah.
be anonymous?
Well, and that's part of the problem. That's a beautiful
That's
point.
funny.
And that's what we're struggling with. in terms of people realizing that we're now in the 21st century. So the stigma that's been associated with somebody being quote unquote mental or having a mental illness and so on, we're breaking down and showing that all of us are going to really meet the criteria for having a mental disorder at some point in our lives. Every last one of us.
So what? Sorry.
Right. And some people get confused with that because the minute you hear mental illness or mental disorder, you think of the most serious form.
Yeah, like you go into that.
Somebody walking down the street, totally out of
That's what I was just gonna ask. Like, how serious does it have to be? Like,
For it to be called?
Yeah, for it to be called. If you have a mental illness, you need to actually go into a house to get the 24/7
quarantined.
attention.
I love using that word.
What do you think?
Those are the minority of cases. And it would be no different if you had, let's say, a general doctor sitting here and talking about cancer. And talking about how many people get cancer or how severe a terminal case of cancer versus somebody having a cold. Those are both people with illnesses, right? Those are both people that have an illness. When we talk about mental health type illnesses, it stretches from things like stuttering. Even just a child that has problems stuttering, that's considered a diagnosis under the what we call the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Disorders. So the book that we would use to characterize different so-called mental diagnoses or disorders, things like stuttering, problems with sleep, insomnia. If I find that I'm not sleeping well, I'm only sleeping 2 hours a night, that's considered a diagnosis of a mental illness.
Okay. So how can young people promote their own emotional wellness?
Again, by being involved, like what you're doing, by seeking out different venues to express yourself, whether it be spiritual, social, artistic, definitely getting the proper rest, proper diet.
Is God an important